Box jellyfish have been sighted in Singapore's waters, sparking advisories from NParks urging beachgoers to stay alert. A swimmer who had been stung hopes it will lead to more education of the sea creature. Melissa Go with more.
Jade Dyson is no stranger to the seas. The 28-year-old marathon swimmer was about 400 meters out in the waters off East Coast Park in March this year when she encountered a box jellyfish.
I felt the tentacles go all up my arm and I've stopped and then put my head above water, and my friend sensed that I stopped too, so she stopped and she looked at me and said, "Is it bad?" And all I was able to say was, "Yeah, it's bad." It's a pain that it's so hard to describe. You know, I've broken my collarbone, I've broken my arm, I fractured my back before. I've had so many injuries and so many jellyfish stings, and nothing even compares to what this was like. I still didn't realise it was a box jellyfish. I was just so convinced that we didn't have them in Singapore because I'd never heard of it.
Jade's wounds took over a month to heal, and she took to social media to share information about how to respond to jellyfish stings. Recently, social media posts also showed a child stung by jellyfish at Sentosa. NParks has advised beachgoers to take precautions, such as not swimming alone and to carry a bottle of plain vinegar to use if stung. It says a sting from the box jellyfish is extremely painful and possibly fatal.
I would rather play on the sand than go inside the water.
I think it's not worth the risk now. Yeah. So, safety comes first, right?
I'm not really worried, but I do think there's a need to maybe warn the public and create more awareness about the jellyfish.
NParks says it's working with academic partners to detect the presence of the box jellyfish in the area.
Iffah Iesa joins us now from the Lee Kon Chian Natural History Museum for more on this. Iffah, thanks for joining us this evening. First up, where are box jellyfish usually found? How common are they here in Singapore, given these recent sightings?
It's a very good question, but to answer the preferred habitat of box jellyfish, one have to first question which type of box jellyfish it is. So we have Tripodelia cystophora that was found in our waters in Pulau Ubin in 2004. It is a very small box jellyfish, and its common name is the mangrove box jellyfish. And it is in Singapore, and it has been historically known to occur here. So on the other end of the spectrum, we have this really huge box jellyfish that you saw in Sentosa. That box jellyfish is a very interesting one because a lot of information is still not known about that box jelly. So the genus, the really huge one from Sentosa, can be found in Japan's colder temperate waters and Australia's warmer waters too. So it's really interesting to find them in Singapore waters. There are over 50 species of box jellyfish in Singapore, and every single one of them have their own preferred habitat. Jellyfish seasonality is really complex because each species observed, their occurrence cycles may or may not be on an annual basis. So meaning the jellyfish instances that we are seeing in these few months could very well be a natural cycle, except on a time scale that we do not know about. It could be in 5, 10, 20 years that we see such an occurrence. However, we just do not have enough information on the box jellyfish, especially long-term longitudinal data that is important to decide whether or not it's common, what its seasonality is, and the mechanisms of its occurrence.
Iffah, you mentioned a moment ago that we may have up to 50 different species of box jellyfish in our waters, though. How dangerous are these particular type of jellyfish compared to other species? Because most jellyfish have venom of one type or another.
All jellyfish have a certain kind of stinging organelle, right? And this is, anemones has it, corals have it, so they are defined by these stinging organelles. However, there are 30 different kinds of stinging organelles naturally occurring, and the permutations of these stinging organelles differ from species to species. Not all box jellyfish are dangerous. Like the mangrove box jellyfish that I talked about before, it is not known to harm humans at all. And it has been suggested in scientific literature that even in the same species, geographically located in different places, can have very different venom potencies. So it's not that easy to answer on a blanket statement how dangerous they are, because they should be treated species specifically.
Well, speaking of being
and it's also very crucial.
No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Iffah.
It is also very crucial to note that a lot of envenomation information that we have right now are based on European or Mediterranean species of jellyfish. So tropical jellyfish sting studies are lacking, to be honest, and we need to know a lot more about them before we can adopt other information from other places.
All right, so saying all that, with the lack of, some of the information with these box jellyfish, we have them here in Singapore. We know NParks and Friends of Marine Group are working to alert stakeholders like boating, recreational communities, as well as, agencies whose staff work in and around those coastal waters on these sightings. What are the possible preventive measures these groups can take to reduce the instances of any sting incidents?
I'd like to take the opportunity to note that it's really difficult to manage something so novel in our waters, right? And these groups have been extremely informative and careful and subjective about the information that they're giving out, and that is great. So on individual levels, the members of these groups are definitely going to have to be aware and prepared for the risks. Even without jellyfish, there are other venomous creatures in the water, and we have been living with them. So the key thing is to not treat this subject with fear, but rather with awareness. On a group level, these groups must ensure that at least a member of the team is first aid trained to maintain life, and that's extremely important. Ensure that all members are aware of emergency hotlines, emergency protocols. Make sure that everyone is kept in check on personal protective gear. Leave as little skin exposed as possible. Complacency it's not going to help you at this point. And it's pretty much the same as what you do when you go out trekking in the forest. You keep yourself prepared, keep aware, right? And be responsible and accountable for your actions. Nature is not always within our control, and we need to be respectful of that. Historically, the jellyfish was probably there first.
Indeed. Iffah, thank you very much for that important information and your perspective on that issue. Iffah Iesa there from the Chian Natural History Museum.